That's good. Might be turning into a zombie. I am outside with the little dog who is not feral at all. Huh, Dyson? He's nosing around. I don't know if he's looking for dandelions or what, but I've spotted some. Now, we've had some cold weather. We may yet have some more. But at the moment, the green babies can be carried in and out very easily. And that is 2 Tiff Blue and a Brightwell blueberries, because the pollinator's got to have something to do. And the sprouted ginger, and a cutting I took from one of the blueberries. I might do some more. But we were out here earlier anyway, and here it is almost the middle of the day. We blended brakes on the old red pickup. And since I'm in Texas, getting the emissions test will be required this year. It doesn't get used very often, but you know, it's a stick. We're going to keep it running as long as we can. What's up, puppy dog? Yeah, the henbit is still not blooming. That's one of the common weedy plants in the yard. It makes a tiny purple flower. And when I was still eating vegetation, I even sampled it. Slightly lemony. Slightly. Just very slightly. And to make a salad of it would only require a pinch of salt. And the dog's nose is getting drippy. I might need to take him in and give him Benadryl. We'll be out here a little longer, puppy. Yeah, I was getting my time at the front door when it was too cold to step out with bare feet. My feet are not bare now. But this morning with a cup of coffee. And I was listening to Dr. Sarah Pugh. I can't pronounce that the way the Welsh would pronounce it, so I've tried. I just can't. But she can say more about why getting out in the morning sun is important than anybody I can think of. And it reminded me of something the late father-in-law, used to do. He would get up in the morning and make his coffee. And if there was any sign of life out of the mother-in-law, he'd make her coffee too. But he'd take his coffee outside and get a scoop of food and put it where he fed the local deer. And at one point I'm like, well, that's cat food. Save it for your cats. Here's a big deck box full of corn. You can give your deer at least something they'll like. Instead of cat food, which is pretty much what people poison their cats with when they're not poisoning their children with breakfast cereal. But he'd go out there and he'd sit in that morning sunlight on his porch swing. And it probably helped him last a lot longer than he would have. Oh, yeah. Let's show off some green babies. Here we go. This is one of the tip blue with all these blossoms. This one's going to bloom soon, and it's the other tip blue. And that one's a Brightwell. And I'm not sure now if this came off of a tip blue or a Brightwell, but I used some rooting hormone and I trimmed it right and basically followed the directions on a channel. And soon it'll be warm enough for all of these to just go into the ground. And there's the ginger, still going strong. Maybe it will go stronger if it could go in the ground. But it's getting some sun through the clouds. Turn the camera back around. You want up? Come here. I'll get you up. Oh, that didn't quite work. Here we go. One good-looking little dog, aren't you? Because the internet is for good-looking little dogs and funny cats. Or funny dogs and good-looking cats, however you look at it. But I have been into my Spanish lessons and German lessons. And yay, languages. I did a live one day and Marina asked me if I was Spanish or spoke Spanish or something. The German seems to click better with me, but I don't go as fast as the recordings, so I don't know how that's going to play out. But I'd like to be able to say hello or thank you in whatever language I might need to use on a given day. It helps if you learn enough something to not sound like an idiot when you order your lunch or your breakfast or what have you. Okay. The clouds are getting really thin right here, and that's cool because it's the middle of the day now. I did get some of the correct light at the beginning of the day. And no longer I can stand to be live out here. Or down there counting the dandelions. And there's more dandelions this way. Even the mint is not blooming. The dandelions are blooming. And I did not look at my irises. I love them so. They've got such a unique color. Can't see them from here. Somebody's big tomcat just ambling down the road, just enjoying his day. We should all be enjoying our day. As much as possible without our sunglasses on. These are not just sunglasses, they're what I put on in case I needed to read anything. And they're not the best for reading because they're not my bifocals. But one of the things that's good for your vision is to focus on things that are a little farther away. If you spend all your time indoors, your eyes will never focus more than 8 or 10 feet down the hallway, or 15, 30 feet down the hallway at work, you know? And then you wonder why you need the glasses to drive. Nobody in your family ever had poor vision. Well, guess what? We have changed society around so much to do things that are unnatural and unhealthy that we all need to think about things like this. Look farther away. And somebody who works in neurology at Tai Chi gave me a tip. Close one eye. Take a step or two, then switch. And she gave me that tip a fair while ago, before the flu that had kept me out of class and the bad weather and all that stuff. Now the flu is gone, and it may be that the bad weather is gone. I mean, it's not impossible for us to have another spate of cold weather. That's why the plants will go in and out and have a few broken twigs, and I need to prune one of these because it crosses over and rubs against another one. Oh, that's broken anyway. Okay. Yeah. I get live plants shipped, so sometimes they suffer. But I've got potting soil in a pot up here near the grill. And I've got rooting hormone, so I can take this damaged branch that's trying to stay alive and set it up like this little twig right here. Now, if this lives and grows, and it does seem that the buds on it are growing, if it's still green, and that lives and grows, that'll be another plant. I don't have a greenhouse to keep them in. If I did, I'd use it. Okay, for some reason, the planter with the irises in it has been moved next to the little plastic deck box style half a shed. I'd like it to bloom. I'll show pictures of it if it does. Neighbor is out hanging up a hummingbird feeder. I don't know how soon hummingbirds show up, but now that there's blossoms, they might. Someone down the way has passion flower vine. I don't know if they get any fruit from it, but it's pretty. Some things just look weird, but an enjoyable kind of weird. And that's the kind of thing they used to look for when they were shooting those really old Lost in Space episodes when I was a kid. And that's like Peruvian lilies. passion flower, and other things. And I guess if they couldn't find enough that they hadn't already used, they probably built a few. Of course, these days, if I pulled some of the wild carrots in the yard, the one that last year the grandson made a point of eating just to disturb his mother, I shouldn't encourage him, but oh well. Knowing what you can eat without damaging yourself too much is a good thing to know. I can identify henbit and wild carrots. But the fact that they are absolutely stark white tells you they don't look like any you'll see in a grocery store. And if you look around, you'll find red and purple ones, often near the orange ones. And they're usually just breeds that people are doing their best to keep alive so that they can sell them at the farmer's market. I go to the farmer's market to buy locally produced meats. But it's been so cold that I didn't want to do that either. Oh, and now the sun is really coming out. I'm starting to see blue in between the clouds. What's up, puppy dog? Yeah, he's doing that thing where he stands on the top step. Oh, now he's sitting on the top step. He doesn't know what he wants to do. And there he is, being my loyal guardian. All 9.5 pounds of him. 8 kilos to some of us. I'm not sure what the fraction would add up to if he actually made it all the way to 10 pounds. But 2.2 pounds is a kilo. But I figured it was worth spending some time outside. I need to. We all need to. I'm not seeing any comments or conversation happening. But the more I live stream, the more that'll happen. Now, it's been kind of weird because it seems to take longer to process even a short live and set all the permissions and everything. But I'm willing to do that. I suppose I ought to check the overnight lows. I might only bring in the cutting and the ginger tonight, because blueberries are supposed to survive reasonably well during low temperatures. And besides that, the one is blooming, so the others will be soon. Of course, the one arrived first and got unboxed, and I like the blossoms. They're pretty. And all the little buds show me where the leaves will be happening and more blossoms on the other plants. Now you don't want the fruiting buds on a cutting. So you cut the end of the twig off, which I will do with this one, or I found that it's broken. It's cracked part way through, but not completely through. So the plant is supporting it. But I will get it with a pair of scissors and the rooting hormones and the potting mix. We'll have another one. And it'll be years before it gets anywhere because it grows slowly, because it's just like the one that's in the one ball now. It's just a stick in enough substrate that the roots have something to grow out through. I've never yet had a cutting work, but I was watching videos. Specifically of somebody doing cuttings of blueberries. If I can get enough plants going. Or fill up an area in the corner of the yard with blueberry bushes. Because I know rabbits will come around if there's something for them to eat. I would think if the greens that everyone tells us, you gotta eat your greens, oh, you gotta eat your greens. If they were that healthy, they'd probably nibble down every bit of henbit and dandelion in the yard, and there would be no sign of the wild carrots. So much for that thought, huh? Oh, it's getting so bright. And for a cloudy day, this amount of brightness is fine and dandy. Oh, and glare off the grill, too. Yep. Sunlight is good. I got some morning sun, and now I got some midday sun. And I got no chatters and comments. I'm just using my phone. I don't have the tripod out here with me right now. I'll go a few more minutes. I'm trying to change my energy levels. Apparently copper makes a difference if you're deficient. It'll kind of drag you down. If you're way super high iron, the iron will bind with oxygen, and then your mitochondria can't pull the oxygen in, and you need those suckers spinning. I've got to do what I can to get them spinning. And that's why I was in the doorway this morning with my coffee and it being too cold to really be outside barefoot. It's not so cold now. If I was still barefoot, then I would be sitting here with my feet open. But I put shoes on because we were bleeding the brakes on that red pickup. It's just things you gotta do. Now, the bad news is, on the back, on one wheel, we're going to have to change out the little valve you use to bleed the brakes, because there's some kind of all kind of clogging up. And wrenches were involved, and we were still able to bleed the brakes because you got to bleed the brakes. Don't like that mushy feeling when your brake lines have air bubbles all through them. The joke, since my mother used to complain about her brakes being too hard, is that you should be able to stop by looking at them hard. Which is absolutely utter nonsense, of course, but makes a good joke. We like our brakes kind of firm. Shift these little containers over. This one's not getting enough sun. There we go. Turn it a little. Yep, that one's broken too, but it's like a little inch of bent over twig. Now they're all getting sun. And I think at some point I'll get a water can to come out here. They're seeming kind of dry. That's okay. Now, I held this thing up before. Some of you know what that is. If you have an established tree or rose bush that you want to propagate a cutting from, you can scratch the stem a little bit to make a place that will be moist enough that it will hold the rooting powder. And you clamp this around that stem. And it's got this little tab on this side locks over. I could open it up and look. But the thing is, if I can get that to grow as is, I just need it to make enough roots that I can put it into a small pot. Because yay, plants, they make oxygen. That's something we all need. And I can sit out here next to them and give them what they need. I don't know if anyone in the area has any bees. I should find out. There are stupid people in the world who will go out of their way to vandalize beehives, especially when it's cool at night and they're less likely to be experiencing karma of their actions. But the natural world needs bees, and we need the natural world. If you enjoy strawberries or flowers or an avocado or whatever, anything that comes from a fruiting plant, then we need bees. About the only thing I can think of that is almost entirely pollinated by hand is vanilla when it's farmed. I'm pretty sure there are still wild variants, and there still has to be some way for them to get pollinated. But they're just a different kind of flower, and you've actually got to know what you're doing and go in with a little tool and move pollen back and forth. Yes, pollinating things is required so that we can keep the oxygen going. Because if all the plants die out, we die out. Which is why the colony collapse disorder, the problem noticed with bees years ago, was so frightening to so many people. We need bees. Bees need plants. I don't need the honey. I don't care about the honey. It's tasty, but it's not what I need. I need beef. And beef can grow on more primitive plants that don't really flower in a way that anybody will recognize as flowering. But I'm pretty sure the beef also eat the dandelions and the henbit and the wild carrots. And that's cool. Now I'm past the half-hour mark. I'm going to end this so that I can start the processing on it. And remember, not just that I am Kismet the Feral Grandma, and you are all my lovely feral humans, visitors and repeat offenders alike, but remember that I love you and I want you to be okay. Some people need to hear that more often. Grandma loves you and wants you to be okay. Eat something healthy. Get the daylight. It's free. I walked around in the yard with a little dog, and now he's just sitting. I helped Loki bleed the brakes. Yeah, one thing after another. But that's it for this live because I feel like I'm just sitting here talking to myself. I know somebody will find it. Somebody has found it. So I guess I'll sit here a little longer. I've talked about this and stuff. Oh, somebody stopped in and disappeared already. So I guess I'm done. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.